start with paper 1 and then we'll go on to paper 2. First part of the notes, I've given you the situational writing formats, all given here. Depending on your school, if you're tested for this for your end of year, be careful of your formatting. Although we do not penalize you a lot for that. But please take note of the formatting because it affects your overall content. Go all the way to this page. We're gonna start off with situational writing first. This is your stimulus. This would be your situational writing questions. Now, whenever you start off with your situational writing questions, I need you to identify a few details. That would be your PACT. So at the bottom here, identify PACT, your purpose, your audience, context, and your tone as well. Can you take a few minutes to read through first and then attempt to identify these few details? You may choose to use pencil to underline first, and then I will go through shortly afterwards. Those online that do not have the notes, can you send me your email address so I can send you the notes? In the meantime, let me continue first. Okay, so just now we were talking about PACT. This is what you should be identifying when you look at your situational writing questions. So first part, your school library is currently undergoing renovation to make it a conducive place for students to learn. As the president of the student council, you have been asked to make some suggestions to make the library more attractive and useful for students. This entire part is your content. This is what you are going to be writing about. So check with what you have underlined. Now, while researching online, you came across a website that features ideas, and you are tasked to choose two of the ideas presented in the website and write a proposal to your principal. Explain why it will appeal to the students in your school. So you are writing a proposal to the principal, you're explaining to him why this is your choices. That is your purpose. Next part, you have your points here. These are your task fulfillments. For task fulfillments, I like to tell students to break it up into parts. So what I mean is, for example, first part, what students currently feel about the library. This is your task fulfillment 1. So you're just going to be talking about 1 point only for this. Next, which 2 ideas you have chosen and why? When they tell you to state more than 1 detail in the bullet point, break up your task fulfillment. So task fulfillment 2A and then task fulfillment 2B. So these are your 2 ideas. Lastly, one other way that is not from the website that can help promote reading among the students. This is your last task fulfillment 3. Make sure you're writing in formal, polite tone. So that's your tone. Those without the notes first, you can take a picture of this page first, and then later on when I send you the notes, you can do your transference of your writing and notes later on. Okay, all good. We're on this page. Can I move on? Next part is your avatar creation. What exactly is this avatar creation? Is to help you identify and know who your stakeholders are. So who you're writing to, who you're writing as, and who you are writing about as well. So first thing to take note of for this is who you are. So you know from the information just now, you are the president of the student council. So this is your first avatar, who you are. Now, some things or personality traits you would know of the president of a club. Naturally, someone that is responsible. Someone that's caring because he is in charge of the whole student body. Someone that is forward thinking. So that means you're thinking about the long-term benefits. Next, who you are writing to, that would be the principal. The principal is naturally much older than you, so that means your tone has to be formal and polite. Make sure you are explaining all of your task fulfillments clearly and why you have chosen what you have selected. Okay, quick question. There's one more avatar that we have for our writing. One more person that we should be including as well. Do you know who it is? Correct, the students, because you're going to be keeping them in mind. The facilities are to be used by the students. So do not forget them. Details that you need about the students. What are their current feelings about the library? So think about the struggles they have or their satisfaction level towards the current library. Next, think about the different usage of the library as well, other than just going there to get books. What can be further added, or what other ways do students use the library for? And then lastly, this is your task fulfillment tree. How do you encourage the habit of reading? Okay, good with this page. I'm gonna move on. Next part is your brainstorming, thinking about the possible pros and cons for the facility. In your exam, you do not have a lot of time to spend on this part. So when you are during the examination, jot down quick notes of the pros and cons on your selected activity or selected choices. Another thing to take note of is for situational writing, do not copy word for word from the stimulus. Try your best to rephrase it in your own words or add on additional details. So for example, the computer corner, some pros and cons for this facility. So naturally, you know, the computer corner is for students to access information that they may need for assignments, presentations. These are additional details you would include by yourself. It won't be found in your stimulus. That is what they will be looking for your content marks. You have to add it in additionally. So what does it help? It provides access to technology, for research, assignments, presentations. Some cons off the top of your head, when you have a computer corner, technology, it requires proper maintenance and then software updates. So this takes a lot of resources, the school's resources. Next, discussion rooms. Discussion rooms would be places where students can gather to have your group meetings in the library. So it's a conducive, collaborative space that students can use it for. Pros, it offers a space. However, some cons for this is that you will need an effective booking system. Okay, now I would like you to try for the library cafe and the read and relax corner. Think of one pro and one con for each of these facility. Add on details that you would not find from the stimulus. Okay, are you done? Those online, can you check your emails? I have sent over the notes to let me know if you did not receive it or you cannot view the file. Okay, library cafe. Pros for library cafe. Here. Can you give me your pro for the library cafe? It's fine, it's fine. Okay, what was your point? Provides an environment to snack on while studying. Okay, okay. Instead of just saying it's a place for students to eat while studying, change the information. You can say that it's a convenient access for students instead. So they don't have to leave the library, they don't have to go out of the place. It's convenient for them to just go to the cafe and then eat there instead, if they are spending long hours at the library. So that's an example of how you will tweak the information that's given to you. Those who still don't have the notes, can you send me your email again one more time? Okay, cons for the library cafe. Is Sherry here? Cons for the library cafe. A clue, think about food. When you have food in enclosed space, what will you be constantly smelling?
Like because like there's books inside the library, so like when they eat the food or like when they drink like beverages, they might accidentally spill onto those books.
Good. There is a possible accidents involving food. One of you mentioned pests as well, correct? When you have food in the library in an area, it will attract pests, especially if students do not dispose of the food properly. So potential. For drink and food messes or pests. next, read and relax corner, a pro for this. Celeste. Here. Okay, sure.
She was saying that students will be more likely to pick up a book that catches their eye if there's like a comfortable corner for them to like delve into.
I like the detail about comfortable. So this creates a comfortable and inviting atmosphere. Pro for read and relax. Quiet and peaceful area for people to focus better. However, a library is supposed to be a quiet place. So you will have to give a bit more detail on top of that. You can use this for, let's say, the discussion rooms instead. That is a secluded area just for those particular people who have booked the rooms. Then you can say it's a more secluded area where people can have conducive discussions. That will be a better add-on if you want to put it as a pro. Okay. Cons for read and relax. Eating.
People might use it for like other purposes.
Example.
Like playing games.
Good. So may attract students to use the space for sleeping instead of reading.
Saying that it's high expenses to maintain and build the sofas.
Okay, you can say it requires additional furniture on top of what the library has already. Those online, let me know if you would like to take a picture of this page before I try to send the notes again. Or if you'd like me to scroll up. The rest of you can look to the next page, which is the structure and task fulfillment. So this will give you an overview of what the whole structure would be like for this situational writing. If you like to say that it promotes taking regular breaks, you will have to elaborate a bit more on how it actually promotes the students to take more regular breaks. In what way? Okay, good with this page. I'll move on. Okay, structure and task fulfillments. Introduction, very important. This is your proposal to the principal. Make sure that you are stating your purpose and your context here. Also state who you are. And give a brief description about what you're going to be talking about in your proposal. So for example, you can start off with this proposal. Outlines two ideas. From my research. Along with suggestions. This is your brief sentence. It would be your body paragraph. Task fulfillment 1. What students currently feel. So just now we talked about what are the current struggles they have. Or unsatisfactory factors. And then make sure you provide examples as well. A detail that you can add on would be providing features that maybe some of the students have mentioned to you before. Next, task fulfillment 2. The 2 chosen ideas and your reason. Make sure you explain how these facilities are going to benefit the students. Okay, you will notice that I did not put paragraph 1 or 2 here. I just put here task fulfillment. It is up to you how you wish to arrange your content and points. You can choose to split your 2 chosen ideas into 2 separate paragraphs. Just make sure that you have sufficient content to form a whole paragraph. Paragraphs usually consist of at least 5 sentences. So that is up to you how you want to arrange your points. Okay. Task fulfillment 3, another way to promote reading among students. So this point is completely from yourself. You don't have any information from the stimulus to help you. This is where you will be adding on a lot of ideas on how your idea will promote reading. Example, let's say you have a themed reading program. So firstly, you explain what it is. So these team reading programs will have meetings, discussions with other students. So let's say a certain theme, maybe horror. All the students will choose a book under this theme, and then we'll have a discussion. All of you can share this book that you have read with each other. After you have explained what it is, explain how it would promote reading. So you can say it will create curiosity, about specific books or genres that students may not have access to or known about. Lastly, conclusion. Summarize your choices, so restate choices, and then make sure you thank who you are writing to. So ending sentence, you can say, we would be your student council, so the whole collective. A question asks, how can we include the pros and cons for each paragraph? So I assume you're talking about each facility. In this case, you would not necessarily include the cons for your choices. You can include the cons for the other choices that you did not choose to justify your the options that you have chosen. Where you would include the reasons would be in this part. So you state your chosen choice and then you state your reasons. Reasons would be the cons that you have brainstormed just now. You can split your task fulfillments into one individual paragraph. Just make sure you have content to fill up that paragraph, at least 5 sentences in one paragraph. If not, you may choose to combine it into a single paragraph as well. Okay, any other questions?
Is it necessary to include the cons?
No. Just make sure you're justifying your choices. The pros and cons is just for you to decide what you want to choose. So that is a practice for you to decide which options you want to choose. You don't have to state why you do not choose the other two options, because your task fulfillment only requires you to state your two choices. So focus on the two choices only and what they are asking from task fulfillment. Unless your task fulfillment asks you to justify why you did not choose the other two, then you include it in as well. No, you don't have to choose, don't have to include disadvantage of your two chosen choices, because that will undermine your pros already. So you're saying, okay, we should choose this, but then you give the cons, then it says like, oh, then should I really choose that option in the end? So focus on your pros instead. If you are done, can you go on to the next page? We're going on to the essay. This page done. I'm going to move. Okay, very important, you should know how to identify your essays when you are given your essays in the exam. I am not sure how each school will give you your essay questions. If they follow the O-level format, that means you will have different essay questions. But it's very important that you know how to identify what they are asking for, what format you need to write in. You would see there are some blanks here. So I have not given you what the essay types are, but I have given you information or details that these essay types would be. Let's look at the first type. Number one is a first person point of view. So you're writing about a life experience, what you learned from it, how has one changed. An example of this would be writing about a time you did something you regret. What did you learn? Any of you know what essay this is? A clue is if you look at the you, they're all asking about yourself. Good, it's a personal recount. Personal recount or reflective. So for this essay type, it's based on your experience. You're writing it from your point of view. Second type, this would be a third person point of view. You would be including dramatic elements. An example, write a story that includes the sentence, "The truth finally dawned on me." Does anyone know what this essay type is? Important detail is the dramatic elements. This is your narrative. So it is your storytelling type. Third, this can be first person point of view or third person point of view. Emphasis is on your detailed description. This is a giveaway already. Sensorial description, so your 5 senses. And emphasis on your figurative language as well. This is your descriptive. For examples, they may tell you to focus on certain details, like this question. They ask you to focus on the sights and sounds of a shopping mall. They may also ask you to describe the people that you see as well. So this is heavily based on your 5 senses, what you see, what you hear, what you smell. Number 4. For this essay type, you have to take a stand. There is a central argument. You are persuading as well. And there is a thesis format in your introduction paragraph. An example of this type of question would be, exams should be abolished. Do you agree? What essay type is this? This is argumentative. Good. Now, what do I mean by a thesis format? This thesis format would be your last sentence in your introduction paragraph. So you're telling me or giving me an overview of your points of your entire essay. How your sentence would look like. So, wow. Then I include my counter argument. So while counter argument, I tell me your stand, disagree or agree, due to supporting argument 1, and supporting argument 2. This is your thesis statement. Later on, I will go through the structure for argumentative essay. Take this format as just a guiding format for you. You may choose to tweak your sentences as well, but make sure you include your counter argument, tell me what your stand is, and then your supporting arguments as well. So this gives an overview of your entire essay, what you're going to be arguing for. Okay, type 5. You're presenting your own view about a particular issue or subject. This is usually listing-based type of essay. No central argument. There's also a thesis format, slightly different than your argumentative format. An example would be, what are some of the challenges youth face? So answering this question, you would tell me, some challenges youth face are 1, 2, 3, 4, and then conclusion. That's why it's called a listing-based essay. Any clue what this type of essay is? No, it's not discursive. This is actually your expository. So what you have to take note of, expository is listing-based essay. So you're giving me reasons. So thesis format for this essay would be different. Oops. Because this is listing, you can say, in my opinion. So the question, this would be challenges youth face are due to, then you give me your point. Point 1, point 2, point 3, and point 4. Expository, you can write 3 points. You don't have to stick to 4 points. 3 points are sufficient enough as well. Okay, with this page, I'm going to move on. Okay, for word count for essay, usually I get students to write beyond the word count. I don't get them to follow the word count. I get them to write more than the word count. This is so that they are not fixated on a amount that they have to write. They are just free to write as much as they can. Let me show the whole page to the online students first. Take a look at the next essay type. Look at the details that it has. Okay. Okay, number 6. Does not forcefully argue for one view. You're presenting or competing views on a given topic. It's a very balanced essay type. This is your discursive. Thesis format for this, a bit similar to the argumentative essay. Same thing, while you still have your counter arguments. However, because it's a balanced essay, that means now you should have 2 counter arguments. So this is the differences between your argumentative, expository, and your discursive essays. These 3 are the essay types that students make up the most. So it's important for you to be able to identify However, there's also one last essay type, your hybrid essays. This means a mix of 2 or more essay genres. Most of the time, they like to mix one genre with personal recount. So they may give you an argumentative essay, like the example here. They ask you which do you prefer and why, because a lot of people some people like to stand out from the crowd, while others just want to be a part of it. So this part is your argumentative. They want you to take a stand here. That is your stand. Personal recount is when they ask you. Every time when they mention you, they're asking about your personal opinion. Now I'm going to go through the structures for each of the essay. Personal reflective structure, you have your introduction. What should you write in your introduction? This is called your hook. Question, it was the proudest moment, write about a time when you felt like this. Take it similarly to narrative. You want your introduction to be interesting, so your reader is interested to read what you're writing as well. So that is called a hook. How can you interest your reader in reading what you have written? You can use rhetorical questions. Good. That is a type as well.
Flashback.
Flashback. Okay. Flashbacks are good. Yes. So that means you are starting not in the normal way, which is in the beginning where, okay, my day started and then I did this. You are starting from maybe in the middle of your story, or you ask a question to get your readers to be interested. So example, I want to write based on this question. It is about a sports story. I'm in the middle of the game at this moment. So examples, it can be, this is just an example for what a hook is. So I start off this way. I don't say that I am in the middle of a competition. I say that we are on the losing team at this moment. Now, I mentioned personal reflective is quite similar to your narrative structure. So you have your introduction. Your paragraph 2 would be what you call your rising action. In each of your body paragraph, there are a few details that you should take note of when you are planning each paragraph. Firstly, make sure you remember the place where it is happening. Tell me the main action, what is happening in each paragraph, and then focus on the feelings as well. So same thing, paragraph 3, it can still be your rising action depending on your story. Focus on your P, A, F again. In this case, paragraph 4, I'm going to take it as my climax. And paragraph 5 is the falling action. Conclusion, the resolution. If you have a problem in your essay, in your story, or it can be a reflection. For personal reflective, I need you to remember another thing. This is your keyword for this question. There's always a keyword you should focus on. I call this answer the question. So ATQ. In my essay, I will have at least 3 ATQ sentences. That means I will mention about the proudest moment, mention the word or a synonym, or make reference to this proud moment in a sentence at least 3 times throughout your whole essay. An example, ATQ, I'm going to put it in paragraph 2. Now, my story, we are losing, my team is losing. My team is not a very good team. They were from a neighborhood school only, just luckily we made it to the final championships. So coming from a neighborhood school, when you learn that you qualified for the championships, you would immediately feel proud. So what is the reference to the keyword I mentioned just now? This part. Your heart swelling with pride, you are mentioning that that is your proudest moment. I want to mention my ATQ sentence again. I'm going to put it in the paragraph 5 for falling action. So in my story, I would say that my team did not win in the end. However, we defended ourselves very well. So despite losing, as we walked off the court, you still felt a surge of pride. And I mentioned, write this ATQ sentence at least 3 times. So I'm going to add it in the last paragraph. Okay, this page done. Moving on to the next page. Next is your narrative structure. Your question, write a story based on this topic, living in captivity. Narrative stories is make-believe. That means you can make up your characters. That will also mean you don't have to write from the point of view of a human. You can write from other animals, anything you want, because it's make-believe. This is your narrative. But please do not do that for your personal recount. That will be totally wrong. A bit different from your personal recount, your structure, your details you should take note of for each paragraph would be different. In this case, because you're creating your characters, make sure you know who your characters are. So that will start with C. Same thing, your action is always very important. Feelings as well. Here, your setting, I would call it your environment. So similar to your personal recount, paragraph 2, this would be your rising action. Make sure each of your body paragraph are answering your CAFE. Conclusion, your resolution. That would be your structure for your narrative essays and the body paragraphs. Those who needed the personal reflective structure, I'm gonna move on to descriptive structure. Describing the sights and sounds of your journey to school. So depending on what you choose, the public transport that you choose, bus or train, an example of how the structure can be like. Introduction. Start off your journey. How does it start with? And then what details will you be including here? Because they specifically ask for sights and sounds, make sure you are mentioning about the sight. And your feelings as well. So what do you see as you make your way to your transportation? Paragraph 2. So reaching either the MRT or bus. Focus on your sight and sound again. Some details that you can include. Who do you see? Students, office worker, if you choose to write about the MRT, when you reach the MRT platform, what would you hear? You would hear the occasional beeping of the tapping in. That's what you hear. Then paragraph 3, this is when you get on the transport. Focus on your sight and sound again. Now here is where usually most students would encounter challenges. Descriptive, they are not able to describe a lot. What else can I write about? Especially for this particular question. You still have paragraph 4 and paragraph 5. You should usually have about 5 to 6 paragraphs for your essay. How you can divide your content into additional 2 paragraphs. You have to describe your journey to your destination. So you're right. Think about your internal observation. So what you see inside the vehicle or the train, the bus. And then paragraph 5, you talk about what you see outside instead. But then I may have students that tell me, I take the MRT, but I'm always underground. I see nothing outside. Then don't mention the underground. Talk about what you see if you're outside of the tunnel. I'm sure you have taken some stations where you see the outside. Talk about that instead. Same thing, man. Focus on your sight and the sound. So internal observation, what are the people doing while they are getting to their destination? What do you observe other passengers do? They use their phone, they sleep, listen to music. External observations, this would be talking about what you see outside. So your tall-rise buildings, greenery. You can also mention the traffic as well. And then conclusion, focus on your feelings. This is your reflection on the whole journey. Okay, online students, if you need to take a picture of this page, those online, if you miss the chance to take a picture of any page, let me know at the end of class. I will go back to the page for you to take a picture again. Okay, moving on to argumentative structure. Content to include for your introduction paragraph. You can use the hook or give me background information about the topic. And state your stand. So what you can include, just now mentioned rhetorical questions, or you can include quotes as well. Your thesis statement. While counter argument, I agree or disagree due to supporting argument 1 and supporting argument 2. Argumentative essay, 1 paragraph to 1 supporting point. So it will be introduction. Second paragraph is your supporting point 1. Third paragraph will be supporting point 2. And then your counter argument and your rebuttal. You will notice that your rebuttal is not mentioned in your thesis statement. In each of your body paragraphs here, make sure you're writing these 4 points. So you should have your point. This is your topic sentence. You should also have your elaboration. Your evidence or example. And then make sure you link back to your topic sentence. So that will be your point. Okay, someone asked for an example to form a thesis statement with relations to this question. It is better to make mistakes when you are young. Do you agree? So I would say I agree to a large extent. So how can I form my thesis statement? So example of how this will be formed. Wow. Some may argue that it makes no difference. This is my counter argument. I move on to state my stand. I agree to a large extent. It is better to make mistakes. When we are young, because now I put in my supporting arguments. Because these mistakes serve as wisdom. Okay. This would be a breakdown of your thesis statement. So supporting point 2 is your paragraph 3. Same thing. Focus on your points, elaboration, evidence, and then link back to your point. Your third body paragraph. So this is your first body paragraph. Second body paragraph. Counter argument is your third body paragraph. So dedicate one whole paragraph to your reason for counter argument. It takes up one whole paragraph. And similarly, focus on your points, elaboration, evidence, and then your link back as well. Rebuttal is like your third supporting point, but we call it a rebuttal because this rebuttal should be countering your counter argument. So that means the flow of your entire essay, after your counter argument paragraph, the starting of your rebuttal, it should be something like, yet it is better to, because this rebuttal is in response to your counter argument. Then conclusion, summarize your points. And restate your stand. Okay. So why you should include a rebuttal is because you are trying to convince your reader of your supporting points. You included this counter argument is to show your reader, I have considered the opposing opinions as well. However, you still have to give a strong counter argument to this because you still want them you still want to tell them, focus on my supporting points here. That's why I include this rebuttal to bring back to my supporting point and my statement. You agree that yes, make mistakes when you're young. It's much better. So that's why we have a rebuttal paragraph. Okay. Can I move on from this page? Okay, moving on to expository structure. Similar to argumentative, introduction. Give me some background information about the topic or general information. And make sure you give me your stand or the thesis statement. So in this case, your question, if you need to introduce a place of interest in Singapore to a foreign friend, what would it be and why? So you'll be telling me you're going to introduce this place because 1, 2, 3, that 1, 2, 3, 4, that is your reasons. So body paragraph, details that you should include, same as your argumentative, your point, your elaboration, example, and then link back. Same thing applies for the following paragraph. So paragraph 2, your point, this is one whole paragraph. Next point is also one whole paragraph. So 1 point for 1 paragraph. Conclusion, same as your argumentative, summarize your points. Okay. I'm gonna move on to discursive. For discursive, introduction, background information, or general information related to the topic, and state your stand. Remember, discursive is a balanced type of essay. That's why you have two counter arguments and two supporting arguments instead. Different structure from your argumentative essays. So in this case, your question is to discuss the benefits and drawbacks of your CCAs in school. You can dedicate 2 paragraphs to the benefits. So that would be your supporting arguments. And then 2 paragraphs dedicated to the drawbacks. So that will be your counter argument. And then conclusion, summarize. Okay, someone mentioned that they want a summary of the different ways to start an introduction. So usually for personal recount, if you remember just now I mentioned, you start off with the hook. Your hook, it includes rhetorical question. Okay, it includes flashback. So this is usually what you would include for a hook of the essay. Narrative, usually you just go straight into your story. Descriptive as well, you just immediately start off with your descriptions of the setting that they have requested you to describe. For argumentative, expository, and discursive, remember to give background information, or general information related to the topic. Or if you would like to include a hook as well, it can be your rhetorical question. It can also be a quote by someone, quotation. Has to be a well-known person. And you have to make sure you remember who it's said by. Okay. Right now, I will give you a short break. When you come back, we'll go straight into the comprehension and then we'll go on to the mock paper. There are snacks outside at the near the door. You may take the snacks there. It's for you to take. Just make sure that you don't leave any crumbs around. Chloe, which structure do you want to see?
Also never eat.
Go to the leaf area, there's a handicap toilet, you have to use things. Number 6 should be discursive essay. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Moving on to the comprehension, which is your paper 2. I've given you a list of the question types in this table here. You may refer to it later on as we go through the questions later. Starting off with visual text. For visual text, always take note of your sources. So in this case here, we have an online poster featured on csa.gov.sg. So this is from a government site. For the online poster, take note of the headings and subheadings that are available. So this is your heading. Jot down details about the headings. What is it different? How is it different from the other text here? So in this case, you say that it is capitalized. It has different colors. It's bolded. Here we have your subheading. Think about the information for the subheading. What is it trying to tell you? This is talking about a scam shield app to help detect scam SMSs and block scam calls. You may have seen this poster. This is relatively new around the MRT stations or so on. So subheading is giving you information, telling you about this app that you should download. This is for text 1. So break down your heading, break down your subheading. Next, you'll be looking at the image itself. For the image, I want you to break it up into two different descriptions. You have your literal and you have your figurative. So literal is what you see. So just purely describing what is shown on this poster. You can say there is a woman. You can say there is a man. Something that is interesting about the man is that his body looks very faded. So this is your literal descriptions, exactly what you see, what is shown on the poster. Next is your figurative. Figurative is what this image is trying to tell you. What does it represent? In this case, you have to look back at your heading. Your heading is talking about unsecured devices. It leaves you vulnerable against unseen criminals. And then link this part, unseen criminals, to the man. What is it trying to explain? Unseen criminals means that you cannot see this particular criminal at all. So it's in relation to the man as well. His body is faded. That means the lady here is not able to see what he's doing. If you look closely as well, what is he exactly trying to do? He's trying to steal or take things from her handbag. So this man, figuratively, he is the symbol of this unseen criminal. So here, the male represents the unseen criminal. Okay. Those online, if you'd like to take picture of this page. Okay, I'm gonna move on to text 2. For text 2, take note of the source as well. Other than just the source, I want you to take note of other 2 details for text 2. I want you to take note of the source, keywords, and the tone for text 2. Text 2 is talking about digital fraud attacks and it is on the rise. They mention about cyber criminals stealing personal data and they are giving suggestions on how to counter this. So they talk about changing passwords frequently. Other ways is to use different email accounts for different tasks. And then Professor Wong also mentioned that there is a need to move towards a passwordless system. So instead of using passwords, use other forms of authentication. So biometrics, digital tokens, and so on. So from here, you'll be highlighting keywords. So what is the main thing about this entire text tool? They are talking about moving towards a passwordless system. They also mention about digital fraud attacks on the rise. That's why there is a need for a counter to this problem. After this, I need you to think about the tone of this text as well. This will come into relation for the questions later on. China News Asia is reporting news, and this text tool is informing you about digital fraud attacks. They're also informing you on suggestions that you can take. So tone is informative. They're giving you information. News is generally considered as neutral. They don't take any stand at all. There is no emotive words. Okay, once you're done, flip to the next page. Okay, you will see some parts, the answers have been given. They are bolded for you here. So first question, look at text 1, tick the most effective title for the online poster. In this case, the answer is the third. Vulnerable devices get protected from online threats. So why this is the answer? Because the answer focuses on your heading. For this question, also take note which text they want you to make reference to. Sometimes it may be text 2 instead of text 1. So why not the second? Because the second only highlights the solutions. So it does not mention or place any emphasis on the main heading. Okay, question 2. In text 1, the poster has the phrase unseen criminals. Explain how the illustration supports the main message. Take note, they're talking about text 1. They have made reference to the phrase unseen criminal. Explain how the illustration, that means they want you to include details of the image. Next is to explain how it supports the main message. So first part is to give me details of the illustration. What do you see? This is your literal description only. Which part? So notes to include for this question: describe the details of the image and then explain the figurative analysis. Sorry. Question 3. How is the intended purpose of text 1 different from text 2? So from text 1 just now, they are talking about the rising awareness of the growing threat of cyber attacks. While text 2 is offering solutions to defend yourself. So you will have to tell me each of the individual purpose. Okay, for visual text, similar to your text 3 and text 4, don't leave every single word. So don't copy word for word, everything. Do try to change at the very least your sentence structure, how you structure your answers. Even if you need to take some of the information given in the poster or in text 2 as well. Okay, I'm going to move on to question 4. Question 4. A, the tone is informative. Here, I said both because text 1, it does tell you about the rise of awareness of the growing threat of cyber attacks. Text 2 also is talking about the solutions, giving you solutions to defend yourself. That's why it's both of it. There is an intended call to action from the readers. This is for text 1 because text 2 only focuses on informing the readers. There is no action verbs. While text 1, if you remember from your subheading, they are telling you to add the scam shield app. So there is a call to action from your reader. Okay, so then I'm gonna go to text 3. Question 5. From paragraph 1, write down 2 expressions that make the scene resemble something from a magical story. This type of question, you have to explain it in your own words. That means you can't take the answers directly from the passage. First thing is to tell me what magical means. So that means there is an element of mystery or supernatural. So your answers cannot include realist elements. Things that I want you to take note of for the question. If I do not write anything in the notes, then you can include your own notes, something that you want to write down. Question 6. Why do you think reaching Pebbleton Station was the beginning of a new unknown for Nicholas? Define the meaning of unknown. So that means this place has to be unfamiliar to him. And then when they talk about the beginning, so this is a point of when something starts. So that is why for the answer, they mentioned that He has never been to Pebbleton because he's unfamiliar with the place. It's an unknown area to him. And he is starting a new life there. Okay. Question 7. Identify a word in paragraph 6 that means the same as the following. For this type of question, make sure you understand the words. If you are not able to decipher the meaning, then find contextual clues. Okay, question from someone. Question 5, one quotation mentioned. Can the answer be umbrellas hoisted over huddled indistinct figures on the platform? No, because the indistinct figures are referring to the people, the actual people. So this answer does not have any connotations of supernatural elements or any mysterious elements. Okay, those who need question 3 and 4 just now. Moving on to question 8. They have given you a sentence from the passage and they ask you, what does this suggest about the adult's attitude towards Nicholas? So in this case, you are making inferential answers based on the sentence given to you. So they're not going to tell you exactly what the adult's attitude are towards Nicholas. You are inferring from their given sentence.
What's the meaning of dismissive?
Like ignoring him. Even if you say something, you don't even take note that he's there. Yes, can. Okay, 8b, pick out a phrase in paragraph 9 that conveys the same idea. Some questions will be like this, especially when it's a two-part question. They will have links to your answer in the previous question. So this same idea is referring to the attitude of the adults. Nonchalant. No. Okay, in this case, you are searching for the answer from the passage itself. And the same idea is with reference to the attitude of the adults. Paragraph 9. So how did adults ensure that Nicholas could not hear what they were saying? This is a direct question. You can find the answer straight from the passage. Next, why would Nicholas not have been able to hear what the adults were saying, even if they had shouted? Explain in your own words. You must paraphrase. Question 8a, indifferent can. Question 8. Do you mean that 8a, you indicate the wrong answer, but you get it correct for 8b? Is that what you mean? If you're able to pick out the right answer for 8b, even though 8a is correct, then that is good. You at least still get the marks for this, just that you won't get the marks for 8a, but the marks are not connected at all. You will still get individualized marks for each part. He had wondered what sort of expression Mrs. Ferrer would put on for their parting. What does this suggest about Nicholas' view of Mrs. Ferrer? I want you to take note of the word, the phrase put on. Put on means to assume a particular expression. So there is a sense of fakeness or pretension. So you'll notice that most of the questions that are not, the answers are not given, they are mostly language based. So you can say that he thought Mrs. Ferrer was a hypocrite, a fake, or not a very sincere person. Okay, I'm gonna move slightly faster due to time constraint. Question 12. The writer described Mrs. Ferrer's expression to be comically serious. Explain why this is an effective description. Comically serious, this is a juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is when there are two facts or the fact of two things are placed together with a contrasting effect. So example is like light and day, or city and countryside.
Sorry, is it GUR or GU?
GUX. So this question is a language and impact. So this is a 2-mark question. Firstly, explain comically serious. This is where you get your 1 mark from. And then explain the effectiveness. And then explaining the impact, which is the effectiveness, is where you get your 2nd mark. Okay. Question 13, what does habitual impertinence suggest about Nicholas' behavior towards Mrs. Ferrer? Here, define the words first. Habitual is something that you do constantly. Impertinence means rude, disrespectful. So how is Nicholas behaving? He was constantly rude to Mrs. Ferrer. In paragraph 12, what made Nicholas happy to leave the last orphanage he was in? Provide evidence. That means you are taking your answers from the passage. Be careful of transference error. 15. This is where you have to go back to the passage, search for contextual clues, decide on the given words or phrases they have given you, and then pair it with the paragraphs. In this case, this is talking about Nicholas' main feelings as he reacts to the events happening around him. They have given you words here. So decipher meaning of words. And then go to passage for contextual clues. If you are done, I'm going to show you where you can find the context for this in the passage. So all the way to text 3. Paragraphs 1 to 4 is reflective. The entire part, these few paragraphs are talking about Nicholas' deep thoughts about his environment. So he is being very reflective. Next is paragraph 5 all the way to 9. Five to 9 is neglected. So this is the adult's attitude, actions towards him. So you can say from here, this is where they ignored him. This is continuation of just now. Here as well, they did not even look at him directly. They was not aware of him at all. And then paragraphs 10 to 11. This is curious. Here, he's being curious. Naturally, he wanted to know what they were saying about him. He had wondered. And then last, this is hopeful. This is where he will start his new beginning. Going to the new orphanage. Okay, once you're done, go back to text 4. This is on page 36. Question 16, why does the writer use the phrase a strange irony? This is a language question again. You have to understand what irony means. So this can be found in line 5. This is talking about how Earth provides us with resources that we need to survive. However, due to the activities that we do through our daily lives, we are putting Earth at risk. So that is the strange irony. So 2-mark question. First mark comes when you tell me what Earth does for us. Second mark comes in when we are doing that puts Earth at risk. Okay, next part. 17a, from paragraph 2, based on this sentence, what does this suggest about the writer's view of mankind? So same thing, a bit similar to one of the questions before. This is an inferential question. Okay, next few questions. 17b, 18, 19, 20a and b. They are either asking you to pick out a phrase from the passage. They're asking you to find evidence from the paragraph. All of these are direct questions. And the only thing I need you to be careful of is just the transference error. So once your spelling is wrong, you will get it wrong. So this would be the same for 18, because it's a direct question. Which word? All of these are direct questions. Picking out a phrase from the passage as well. Provide an example. And then even 20b, they told you with respect to paragraph 7, you are taking the information from that paragraph. Okay. Finally, it's the summary questions. Before starting your summary question, I need you to understand whether the question is a one-tier or two-tier question. In this case, they are only asking you what humans would do if they care for nature. Take information for this. This is a one-tier question. If they're asking you to find information for two categories, that is a two-tier information. So highlight the keywords and then determine whether it's one tier or two tier. Next is to take note of where you're getting your information from, which paragraph. So it's from paragraph 8. Now I'm going to show you a method for summary that I do with my students. So every time when you do summary, go to the paragraph you're taking the information from. I will start off by marking out where I'm taking my information from. Naturally, summary usually do it at the last part of your text form. After you have marked out the part, write down the starting sentence that they have given you. So when we care for nature, this is what they have given you for summary. This is called the strikeout method. So first, you block out the paragraphs. Next, you write the starting sentence at the top. Next part is to locate the points and strike out irrelevant information. I usually tell students to use pencil and another colored pen. Start off with your pencil first. After you have struck out all of the irrelevant information, you're going to use a different colored pen. And strike out the parts that you are paraphrasing. After that, you're going to be writing your paraphrase parts above the sentence. I'm going to show you an example. So points that I want should be related to what we will do if we care for Earth, care for nature. So I'm going to start off by striking out all the irrelevant parts first. If they are not related to the information I want, I strike it out. So here, if you appreciate nature, we'll naturally act on this appreciation. I'm keeping this. We shall no longer discard trash without thinking of its effects on the environment, still keeping as well. And then they talk about what actions they would do to protect the environment. All of these are kept as well. So all of this goes on all the way until the second last sentence. So I'm keeping all of this information. What I do not need is the last sentence. I strike this out. because this has nothing to do with the information I need. Afterwards, that's where I change my pen color to another color, and this is where I start to paraphrase. So whenever you start to paraphrase, you strike out the parts that you have paraphrased. So if I'm gonna paraphrase this part, I strike it out. This is gonna be my first so-called sentence. So continuing from here, when we care for nature, we will show our respect to our deeds. And then you can restructure the sentences. So continuing with the next sentence, talking about some actions, how you no longer discard trash without thinking of its consequences on the environment. I'm going to combine this into one full sentence. So we'll show our respect through our deeds by being frugal, about wastage, and being mindful of the consequences. So this is how I would do the strikeout method. You will do the same with the next few parts. Whichever part you paraphrase, cancel it out and then write your paraphrase part above. So in this way, you don't have to keep flipping back and forth. You are doing it all on one page here. I'm going to show you the answer for this section. You may take a picture of this before I show you the answers for the mock paper. Okay, please refer to your mock paper. I'm going to give you the answers. Check according to your answers. I'm going to overrun a bit. Okay.
Sorry, teacher,
Okay. Okay, let me know. Any questions? visual text answers. Okay. Text 3. Two visual text, is it? Take note of the parts where I put in notes. These are the parts or keywords I need you to take note of for each of the questions. Okay. Okay.